Hi everyone, my name is Jason Lupke and I'm a Global Solutions Specialist for Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. Today we're going to be talking about small group instruction and how we make it work in our classrooms. Before we begin though, I want to introduce you to Abebe Bikila. Abebe became famous for being a two-time Olympic gold medalist in the marathon. He was the first Black African to win a gold medal at the Olympics and the first Ethiopian to win any medal at the Olympics. What made him a legend, though, was his barefoot, underdog, come-from-behind victory in the 1960 Rome Olympics. Entering the race, he was virtually unknown as a runner. In fact, it was only his second marathon ever. He came from behind to set an Olympic record and to be victorious, all in his bare feet. So why the bare feet, you might ask? Well, as it turns out, Abebe's team had issued shoes, the same shoes, to all of their runners. And they gave Abebe blisters. So rather than running the marathon and being in agonizing pain the entire time, Abebe decided to run barefoot. So what has the sport of running learned since those 1960 games? Well, as it turns out, we've learned that all different types of runners need different types of shoes. It's based on our feet and how we run, and it's also based on what type of running we're doing. If all of our different runners and different types of feet need different types of shoes, it's probably the same in the classroom, isn't it? As educators, we all know different types of students and different types of learners have different needs in the classroom. Oftentimes, we have 25 or 30 different students in our classroom, all with different learning needs. The challenge is how we differentiate and meet the needs of all of those learners. So when we think about a lesson design where we know small group instruction should be one of the focuses, I see it as breaking it into 4 distinct sections. We're going to start the lesson with some sort of whole group activity. Typically, this is where we'll introduce new learning, new concepts or skills. The teacher might model the application of those skills for the students. We might try some group practice around applying those skills. And then we might even have some individual or maybe some partner practice around application of those skills. Then we need to do some sort of data collection. We need to figure out how well our students comprehended those skills and are able to apply them. Then after we've done that data collection, we're ready to move into our small groups. That's where the bulk of our time really should be spent if we want to get the most value out of that small group instruction. Then we just do a real quick short wrap up at the end of the lesson, and that'll just be really around collecting some data, making sure our students understand. So let's go back to that data collection. It's all about how do we make that work. So when we think data collection, we really should be looking at collecting data in a formative manner. We're just collecting that data along the way to make sure our students are understanding so that we can apply that to our instruction. We also want that data collection for the teacher and the student to be quick and easy. We don't want it to be time-consuming or cumbersome for the teacher. It should be something that can happen quickly so that we can move on to that instructional part. You know, a colleague of mine, Mohammed Jina, recently we were talking about this very piece of instruction, how we collect data, and we were really talking around math instruction because we're both former math teachers. We realized that our students would come to us with gaps in their knowledge. I'm sure you as teachers have experienced the same thing. You get students, they maybe forget something that they should have learned last year, last month, maybe even last week. We wanted to kind of come up with a visual for what that would look like. And I thought Mohammed had a really great visual that he developed. This is what it looks like. We called it the learning map. So each student comes to us with a learning map in their brain. And it's really the set of those standards and objectives that we want our students to understand. In math, those standards fall under domains and then they fall under critical areas. This is Mohammed's learning map. And we filled in the standards and even the domains that Mohammed has mastered. And now that I know what those are, it's a lot easier to fill in any gaps that we have before we move on. And you know, when we look at different students, here's Gabriel's learning map, here's Amy's learning map, we see they're all different. Everybody's got different blocks colored in. So we know those student needs are different, and determining what those needs are so that maybe we can group students together or even work with one or two students at a time to really make sure we're addressing those specific standards that haven't been filled in yet. So we know data collection should be formative, it should be quick, and it should be easy. Let me give you some examples of what that can look like. It can be something like this, just a very quick exit ticket at the end of that whole group instruction time. In this case, it's around a math lesson, and I'm just checking for comprehension around a topic that we've just taught. To project this, I could ask my students to write their answer maybe on one of those little whiteboards or maybe just in their notebook paper. And then they're going to show me their answer, and I'll know whether or not they're comprehending. It could be something a little more time intensive. Okay, still not very long, but 3 questions, just a check for understanding. Just 3 quick questions, maybe around 3 different skills or concepts that we're working on so that I know going into small group instruction how I need to structure that time. And then, of course, a third option would be something like a turn and talk. It's just a verbal. I'm asking students to have that academic discussion, and then I'm going to evaluate their responses and, again, try to make those decisions about how I need to structure my small group time. So just remember, data collection is the key to determining our students' needs. We need to collect that data in order to inform what we want our small group instruction to look like. Okay, guys, so today we talked about determining needs for our students in small group instruction. In our next video in the series, we'll talk about how we find those resources. And remember, then we're going to wrap up with establishing our classroom routines and structures. Again, this is Jason Lupke with Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. I'll see you next time.